What's up, guys? Welcome to the Jared Williams Show. Today, we got a real movie star, Mr. Nate Santos in the house. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, bro? How are you?
And I say movie star, but just because you look like a movie star on my little screen over here.
That's what we were just talking about.
Total rock star.
I've actually had that line a couple times lately.
You've had what?
That line a couple times? The movie thing. We've done a couple commercials lately, little video ads, and people are like, you guys should get into movie acting. I was like, maybe later.
Dude, that's like your calling.
Maybe.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Maybe the plumbing will lead me there.
Maybe. So let's see. You own Santos Bros Plumbing in California. Where at in California?
So we are based out of the town called Paso Robles, California.
Uh-huh.
That's on the Central Coast. I'm about 3.5 hours north of LA and about 3 hours south of the Bay Area. So that's pretty smack dab in the middle on the coastline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the coast?
Not right. The county is on the coastline, and I'm about 30 minutes from the actual coastline. I'm a little bit inland.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Population of
30,000.
30,000.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a little town.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah. So got into the plumbing because of my uncle. Funny, he'd been doing plumbing since he was young. Grew up in it and went to a couple different companies and trial and error and decided to start his own company.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the uncle that I kind of looked up to the most when I was a kid. I kind of followed him the most. And I'd tag along with him whenever he'd go do jobs. I remember being like in elementary school, helping him. Not really helping him, but watching him run a snake.
Uh-huh.
Cut a hole in some drywall and fix the water leak, that kind of stuff. And then I got a little bit older and when I was in high school, and he lived in a different side of the county that I lived at. And so whenever he'd come like in my area, he'd be like, hey, what are you doing? I got to do some digging. You want to come dig and I'll pay you some money to help me dig.
And you just fell in love with it?
Absolutely not. Working with him those few times made me say, I don't want to do plumbing at all.
Yep.
And I said that for a long time. So it's funny because I helped him those few times growing up. Once I got to like around graduating age, from high school, he started having that conversation with me. Like, hey, career-wise, what are you thinking? You go to school, yada, yada. Like kind of putting the bug in my ear. And I'm like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I told him I like horses. I'm trying to do something with horses. And he's like, you should get into plumbing. It's a good career. I'm like, dude, I freaking hate plumbing. I see what you do, man. It's hard physical labor. It's can be messy sometimes. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. He's like, come on. I'm like, nah. I remember that was like, I think that might have been the dinner that we had as a family when I graduated high school. And then over the years, he kind of brought it up every now and then, family get-togethers. I was in a pinch. At one point, I was trying to buy a house. And I needed to show proof of income. And where I was working at, things didn't quite work out. When I started the process of, wanting to buy the house. And I was like, hey, Unc, I'm in a pinch. Can you just sign this here for me that says I work for you and I make this much money? I don't really have to, just so I can get this. I'll figure it out afterwards. And he was like, no, this is perfect, man. I've been telling you, come work with me. This is a perfect time to do it. And I'm like, but I told you I don't want to work with you. I don't want to do that. And he's just like, look, tell you what, man, I help you. You help me. Give me at least 2 years so you can give the trade a shot, kind of get a grasp of it, and we'll see how it goes. And sure enough, man, like to the date, 2 years, I was all right, Unc, I'm out.
So you didn't fall in love with it?
No, man, not really. I picked up on it relatively quick. I've always been a hard worker, so wherever I worked at, I always moved up and got supervisor positions and manager positions. I worked at Home Depot for like 5 years. That was going to be my career for a good minute. Just supervisor there. Home Depot, dude. I honestly, I still have mad love for Home Depot. I love Home Depot, dude. Like, it's not like my go-to number one for my supplies, obviously, but Milwaukee Tools. Living in a small town, there's a Home Depot. There's not like a bigger Milwaukee outlet or anything like that. So that's where I go and check out what's new, see what new little knife I need to buy or whatever, or what new impact or what have you. So I was there for about 5 years, and things didn't work out there. But I was at one point the plumbing supervisor of the plumbing department.
Cool. So
I learned like all the.
Was that before your uncle?
I was before my uncle.
Gotcha.
So I was like fresh out of high school, like a year out of high school when I graduated in 2009. And so when I got to my uncle, I just knew how to put all this stuff together because I already knew different types of materials. I knew, the black pipe, the galvanized pipe, the copper pipe, the PEX pipe. And then they make you do computer e-learning so that you learn about the different materials. And, you need
Yep.
glue to put the pipe together, blue PVC or the black for the ABS type of thing.
So they actually provide you with some training, huh?
They do. They
Huh.
do. And it was like, I remember it was 40 hours of computer training. And then like you'd watch these little module videos, little different case scenarios. And then you got to take a little quiz at the end and answer them. You have to get a certain score. So they're like, all right, you know some basic stuff of this department and go on to the sales floor and provide some excellent customer service,
Gotcha.
And that was their thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that after that, that's what when I worked with my uncle, I picked up on it relatively quick from my experience at Home Depot.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did you wear a cowboy hat at Home Depot?
A couple times, but not that much. Not that much. They were real big on the collar shirt.
Gotcha.
So I wear collar shirts there, like these pretty much same style, Western pearl snaps. That's always kind of been like
Nice.
my vibe. And a couple times I wore the cowboy hat, but we're indoors, didn't really care for it. But I did wear the cowboy hat when I worked with my uncle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so what was the name of your uncle's business?
His company business name is Izzy Plumbing. Izzy Plumbing.
And was it just him?
He started with his little brother, and then over the years, they worked together a few times, and then brother-in-law came along, and then it's mostly been family. There's been a few other guys that haven't been family. His brother-in-law worked with him for a long time. I was there with him for about 2 years. My brother worked with him for maybe a half year, a few months, and then his son works with him now, and he's had a few different nephews that over the years I've worked with him also.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's been mostly family, which is good in one way and then kind of tough in another way.
Yes.
You know how that goes.
I know how that goes. So before we get into like your business though, you said you're going to do something with horses.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Dude, the horses, bro. That's what I enjoy the most. Like when you ask me like, like, oh, so you love plumbing. I don't love plumbing, but I love horses, man. So
you love the money that plumbing brings.
Yes.
So you can
have fun with the horses.
Have fun with the horses. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good. But they are a lot of fun, man. Some of the most fun I have is like horseback riding up in the mountains. It's cool. I've been to the beach. So what we do with the horses, I like animals, the whole ranch lifestyle kind of thing. I wanted to be like a horse breeder. That was like my thing. I still do it. Just I'm not 100% focused on it.
Did you grow up doing that?
No, probably since like early high school. So my dad sings mariachi style music. And there's a show that he does where he performs on horseback with the horses dancing. The mariachi band's playing the music, and my dad's like the lead vocalist, holding the mic and having his horses dance. And I've always been an animal lover. Yeah. And when I started horseback riding, it was just like the funnest thing, like running full gallop at the riverbed, splashing through the water at the beach. Yeah. It's just fun times for me. And so I always noticed that it was not an inexpensive thing to be part of our lives.
What does your dad do for work?
He's actually he has a supervisor position at a local restaurant in our town. It's actually kind of a famous restaurant. It's called the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo. It's about 30 minutes south of where we live at, but that's like the city. That's like the county. That city right there. And actually, like some famous people, some movie stars have gone there. It's like a landmark historical hotel. Cool. Yeah, and it's got a steakhouse, and he does that full time. And so like on the weekends, he'll do like some wedding shows every now and then, or like we do local community events. We just had a show called Tamale Festival. Are you familiar with tamales?
Well, no? Tamales, yes. Not the Tamale Festival.
Well, it's basically just a bunch of vendors selling tamales, and there's judges awards, and there's music, and it's just something to do. And it's in a small town, 30,000 people. There's nothing to do.
And you hold that at your farm?
No, that's actually right in front of City Hall in Atascadero, which is a town that I actually grew up in, neighboring Paso Robles. Oh, cool. Where I'm based out of, yeah, which is pretty cool. So we do that, and so we do a show there with the horses. My dad's right there singing, and so I've actually have included that. Like that's why I rock the cowboy hat, and that's where I kind of helped me come up with the logo with the wearing the overalls. Yep, it's a very country like vibe. Plumbers wear overalls, ag people wear overalls. Yep. So,
dude, I've been reading a book called The 48 Laws of Power. One of the laws is probably halfway through the book is to stand out in a crowd, like, and specifically with your look.
Bro, I do that pretty damn good.
You do it well. It's like you read the book and you were like, I got this one.
I didn't
Give me
read
that-
it, dude.
give me that cowboy hat.
I didn't read it, man. I just, you know what's funny is that we came up with the brand is two bros, my brother and I, and we're in our overalls, cowboy hats, little cowboy boots and spurs, and little cartoon characters on the side of the truck.
Yep.
He's holding a sawzall up, and I'm holding a plunger. And someone said, "Hey, you should make that your uniform." And that was like, we had just freshly got the thing wrapped.
Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about that. I was just gonna do, a polo shirt with the logo on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh? It really I'm gonna give that a shot, dude. And people freaking love it. Like our clients love the fact
So you show up to people's houses
with the overall
just like you look today.
cowboy hat. Yeah.
Nice.
Different have different style, flannels or,
Yeah.
pearl snap cowboy
And they're
shirts.
like, they're loving it.
They love it. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you look just like the guy on the truck.
Yeah. That's cool.
You're actually wearing the overalls because they'll watch the website. Like, you're actually wearing the overalls. And
You
they
got a
love it.
video on your website?
Yeah, there's a
Dude,
video.
you probably do good on. I would imagine you would do good on video.
You know what? We just started doing these videos, man. These little funny skits, and people are loving them. So, like that funny saying, plumbers crack.
Yeah.
It's always been a funny thing, right?
Yeah.
And so when I first learned about you, and I saw you on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you were talking about Plum Social,
Mm-hmm.
talking about doing the memes and kind
Yeah.
of brand awareness, getting your name out there.
Yeah.
So I started dabbling in that, and I came across one. It's funny. There's like a line of these plumbers in trade school, and the teacher's like, "Jamie, you're embarrassing your trade by not having the crack out," because all the guys have their crack out except for he has his shirt tucked in.
Yeah.
And so I rolled with that one. And I was like, oh, with Santa Rose Plumbing, you don't got to worry about butt crack. They start overalls.
Yeah.
And we just did a skit on that, dude, and people are freaking loving it.
That's
The
awesome.
video got like over 20,000 views or something.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was pretty badass.
Cool.
So I just leaned into it.
Yeah.
You don't got to worry about butt crack when you call us.
No.
You know?
Can't have butt crack with overalls on.
No, hell no, man. And nobody wants to see that anyways.
Maybe a little side boob, but no butt crack.
Yeah, if the shirt comes up a little bit. Oh, man. Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah. You ever hear, man, I went and saw Thomas Massey. You know who he is?
Thomas Massey.
He was like
Bell.
senator of Kentucky, I think, or something like that. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Has some political thing with Kentucky. Really funny guy. He created a software company while he was still in college and ended up selling it for like $30-some million, like 2 years later. And then he went and bought some land out in the middle of nowhere and started farming. And his whole saying was like, I got rich really quick and now I'm slowly going broke farming. So you need to get rich with plumbing and then you can slowly go broke with your horses.
Yeah. And I've cut back on how many horses. Man, I had like a small herd, bro.
Did you?
Yeah, man. I think the most I had at one point was like 15 or something.
Oh, that is a small herd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had cut down like that. I think I'm like less than 10 right now, which, I really enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
I just enjoy seeing them out there. I enjoy just giving them hay. And some people are like, how much does that hay a bale cost? I was like, oh, I got a sweet deal for it. It's only $15. They're like, oh my God. I was like, well, it's better than when it was 30.
There you go.
So yeah, definitely need to focus more on the plumbing, and I have been, and that's kind of like where the goal is at now. And I tried to make it a business with the entertainment, offering the service as an entertainment, and then breeding and selling off the offspring type of a thing. I was boarding for a little bit. We have a little bit of land, so I offered boarding for a little bit, but it's not like a lucrative business from the way I was doing it. And what's cool is that with the plumbing business and taking your course and learning what I've learned about, being priced right, being priced to profit, what are your costs of doing business so that you can figure that number out type of stuff.
Yeah.
Marketing, getting your name out there so you can get those sales and that kind of a thing. I'm like, dude, I've learned so much. So like, once I get this more dialed in and I scale this and I really do pull myself out of the business a little bit more, what do they call like an external or internal exit type of thing?
Sure.
I can hopefully deep dive back into this and be a little bit more well-rounded and versed on how to do it a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be some tie overs.
Yeah,
definitely. So you're working with your uncle. If you work for him for 2 years, you say, screw you, this sucks. And then what happens?
So when I stopped working with him, that was right before the lockdowns happened and all that craziness. And that's when I was driving the horse shows. And so I was kind of thinking to myself, who was going to want a show like this with dancing horses and mariachis at their, backyard get together, their wedding or quinceañera or what have you. So I got into the wineries. We were doing some shows at some wineries, and there were, decent tickets for what I thought, was a pretty ticket, on a Thursday or a Friday evening. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a pretty good ticket. Let's start doing this more. And it was starting to pick up a little bit. The second year, then lockdowns happened. And I'm like, well, shit, I got to cancel those contracts. There's no more get-togethers.
Yeah.
And I had like 7 contracts signed up already going into that year, 2020.
Yeah, and you're in California, so they shut down hard.
They did.
Yeah.
It was really bad, like in the city, like major cities. Where I'm at, it's a more rural area, small town vibes, and specifically like the region that I'm at, it's a little bit more conservative leaning, thankfully.
Yeah.
So like where I lived at, man, like I didn't wear a freaking face diaper, man. I was like, I ain't partaking in that nonsense.
Yep.
I ain't getting no damn stinking jab.
Yeah. Why?
Dude, it never made sense to me, bro.
Like, what about it didn't make sense? I'm genuinely curious.
Dude, I think it was they've called it a pandemic. They've called it a scamdemic. I think it was all a freaking. It's just all nonsense. I went down some rabbit holes back in my early 20s, with my tinfoil hat, and I learned a bunch of stuff.
Like Alex Jones?
Oh, yeah, dude. InfoWars is where it's at, bro. InfoWars, man.
You ever hear Diamond Gusset jeans?
I haven't heard that line specifically, but, we don't want the frogs to be gay, man. The frogs should not be gay. There should be male frogs and female frogs so they can do their frog life.
Yep.
The dude's hilarious, man. He got a lot of different topics on that, dude. Clean water, clean food, clean air. Those sort of things are very important. And so I learned that kind of stuff. And then when this is coming about, I'm like, when I learned that stuff, every time a new hot topic comes out, like I always give it some time.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of comes of it. Give it some time. And then sure enough, dude, I'm like, no, like I think it's all horseshit. And I know horseshit, bro. So I'm like, this is some horseshit right here, man. This ain't it. And so I never partook in it, dude. Didn't do the face diapers. Some people at some stores would get mad at me, and I'm like, dude, are you gonna kick me out? Are you gonna refuse me service? The ones that said they were, so I just, all right, so I'm not gonna shop here.
I got banned from the airline.
Oh, I think I heard you talk something about that.
Yeah. I was flying to go pick up another van, and I didn't buy into the whole COVID shot thing either, mainly because you could go like, I don't remember if it was right away, but the data started to come out of the shots of how many deaths were from the shot. And you could go look, people in my age group, at my health level with no underlying health conditions, you had a higher chance of dying from the COVID shot than you did of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember telling my brother that, and he was like, no. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not taking that shot. That's stupid. Like, why would you do that? He's like, well, you're going to spread it to everybody else who can die. I said, no, people getting the shot, they're still getting COVID. It doesn't work like you think.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a hot topic within our family. Like most of us, like, my brother, sister, like we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Some of our uncles were like, and we're like, and we've been the crazy ones for years, man. Ever since the tinfoil hat days, like, we're like, hey, fluoride in the water, we don't want that.
Yep.
Hey, we should have some organic fruits and vegetables. And they're like, what? You guys need to chill. Like,
dude, I grew up questioning everything.
Yeah.
And I still do to this day.
Me too. Yeah.
COVID comes out and COVID shot comes out. I'm questioning that sucker.
Bro, and it's like you said, man, you looked up the numbers, the statistics.
Yeah.
Like what's that saying? Men lie, women lie, men's numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Like numbers don't lie. Like,
nope.
And I was just watching the video on Instagram last night, and they were talking about like the flu shot for elderly since it started doing it. Like, okay, since it started doing it back in this year, that means that mortality for flu should be going down. And it turns out that it's actually the opposite. Mortality has only gone up. And so like the people behind that, the makers of it, they're like pushing all this money to study and find out why, and if they are looking at the numbers the wrong way, they put all this money into proving that that's not the case, and they only found out that that is actually the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not benefiting the people.
Continue to push vaccine and all that stuff.
But I think more people are kind of waking up to it and seeing past the nonsense.
Dude, I worked with a guy for like 5 years. His name was Kevin Kriska. I hope he listens to this. He would go every single year and get the flu shot. And every single year he would get the flu. And he like, I remember like 5 years into working with him, he was like, you don't get the flu shot, do you? I said, no. And he goes, and you don't get the flu, do you? I said, nope. So you get that flu shot and it gives you the flu. It's the only reason you're getting it.
That's the side
Like,
effect of it.
If you're getting the flu shot and then you're getting the flu, and it's been that way for 5 years in a row, why are you still going and getting the flu shot? Like the whole point of getting the flu shot was to not get the flu.
Yep.
Are you retarded?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I think I am.
I think I am.
I think that's stupid.
He had to take 5 years, man. No, the last time I got the flu shot, man, I worked at Home Depot and they're like free flu shots.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, free. I haven't ever had a flu shot before. Maybe I should get one so I don't get the flu.
Yeah.
And then later I got the freaking flu and I'm like, the flu shot. And I haven't got one since.
So it only took one, huh?
It took one, bro. And that was before my rabbit hole learning into all that kind of stuff.
Your Alex Jones rabbit hole.
Yeah, the Alex Jones and all the other ones, man. There's many of them.
All right, so you're going down the rabbit hole. COVID happened. You told your uncle, screw you. You were doing horses. Oh, you were doing horses and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Then what?
That flopped. So at the time, I had started working for a property management company that my brother was working at, and he got me in there. So we're working in a property management company, just doing service, handyman stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they own a bunch of apartment rentals and residential, and I was doing the plumbing stuff for them. You know, just running the snake here and there, changing faucets here and there, a couple little, remodel work here and there. And COVID happened, lockdowns happened. No more parties, no one's traveling, everyone's sitting at home, and they're like, finally, I'm gonna fix that leak. Finally, I'm gonna do that remodel.
Yeah.
And so, dude, we just started getting calls, word of mouth, people that we knew.
Yeah.
And then I was charging, more than I was making at the property management company, working the evenings, so I still kept that, security of the 9-to-5 job, so to speak. And then the evenings, we'd go do little side jobs, weekends, do some remodel work, or we did some repipes, that kind of stuff, ADUs. And fucking light bulb went off. I'm like, well, shit, man. Like, as much as I don't really enjoy doing this that much compared to horses, horseback riding, it's pretty good money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, filed to go. I applied to go get my license from the state of California and got approved. Actually, I postponed taking my test twice before I took it because I hadn't done any studying, man.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a study book type of person. I'm more a hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I haven't freaking studied. I haven't studied. And I talked to 2 other plumbers. Just like, oh, I'll do some flashcards. And like, I started writing some down. And like, I got to like maybe 3. I don't think fuck this. I'm not writing no flashcards down.
Yeah.
And then I took the practice test online several times. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll just go give this thing a shot. And have you read the book Psycho-Cybernetics? So I only read to chapter 3. But within that chapter, within those first few chapters, it's like, manifestation, or like, if you see it, you can believe it. And like really, really have like the vision of what you want to create, like meticulously, like down to like all the details.
Yeah.
And so I was reading that book right before I went to go take my test. And I was like, okay. So like I envisioned myself just literally do that. And I told this to a few people and they look at me like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just envisioned myself taking this test and passing.
Yep.
And there's a classroom setting in my mind, and like I imagined what I was wearing, like the shirt, pants, hat that I was wearing that day, my boots, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take the test, gonna be like this. Cool. I get to the classroom and it looks different from what I had in my head. So I just revamped my ideas, that my visuals that I have. All right, now it's this classroom.
Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna pass my test. And I'm taking my tests, multiple choice. So I several of them I do know. There's a few that I didn't know,
Yeah.
And then I'm watching the facilitator knuckle bump the guys that do pass their test. And so then I'm like, I imagine that. All right, when I pass, homie's gonna give me a little fist bump, congratulate me that I passed my test.
Nice.
And sure enough, bro, I passed my test. There's 2 parts to it in California. One is the codes for the trade, which I did in 2 hours, and then the other one is like the ethics and like laws, state laws, like labor laws and that kind of stuff. And that one took me a little bit longer. But because of the supervisor experience that I had in different jobs before, I've already done. Some like, keep your hands to yourself type of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I know we shouldn't be doing that. Like, sure, we can drink some water.
Yeah.
Team lifts things, that kind of stuff. And I passed that one too. And I had I think an hour left. for
Cool.
that one, and got the fist bump, man. I was on my way.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and that was this upcoming May will be 3 years. This
3
May,
years.
this May here is 3 years since I got the license.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Cool. And
And-
so you get your license and you've got side work going on. Still got your day job?
Yeah, so I get my license in May, and I had already I had informed my employer at the time, like, hey, you know, I'm looking to get my license, and they were super cool, man. Some guys talk about their situation when they try to do that with their
Yeah.
employer is not so good.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little rocky and kind of get the cold shoulder, which is crazy, man. I think as an employer, you should be happy for your guys whenever they want to better themselves. And
That means you got a good one.
yeah,
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have him here as long as he's here.
yeah, so that's how I see it, man. And I've always been the kind of worker where I've always been a good worker.
Mm-hmm.
And the best bosses that I've had have appreciated the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been okay whenever I request time off because I'm not doing it on the regular.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking time off to go do stupid things and party and get drunk. I'm like, hey, vacation time with my family, or
Yeah.
I got to go out of town for something. So they've always been cool. And so I told this boss, like, hey, you know, I'm going to apply for my state license. As a matter of fact, you're my current employer, and under your business license, I'm doing the service work for your property management. Would you mind signing off on my second half of 2 years experience? Because I had 2 years with my uncle and then 2 years with him. He's, oh, dude, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Sign me off. He's like, so are you quitting? Are you putting your 2 weeks right now? And I'm like, no, not yet. Like, I need to get some stuff dialed in. And it's that leap, bro. That leap, you know, I still kind of push it off a little bit. So I got the license in May, and I didn't put in my 2 weeks until the end of August.
Yep.
The month of September was my first month out there on my own. It was okay. October, I did better.
Uh-huh.
November, December, we were like, oh, wow, I didn't think it was going to be this great.
Uh-huh.
Cool. And then just kept on rolling with it. That was the end of 2022. 2021, I think. So I went into 2022 around there.
Dude, I look back, I get so confused with what year it was.
Yeah, bro.
And what I was doing.
I'm starting third year. This year is the third year going into business, so whatever that.
This
chops
year's
down
your
to.
third year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So 2024 would have been your second. 2023 would have been your first.
Yeah. So
Your
it was the
first
end of
full year.
2022 and then going into 2023.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Cool. And so what were you charging at the time? Like when you first went out?
Bro, okay, so before I was quote unquote allegedly unlicensed doing work,
Yeah.
I was like around like $50 at first and $75. And then when I got the license and I actually started working, we raised it up at first, like for a week, dude. I was like at 150.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna run it at what I know what some of the other guys are running it, which is like around like 250.
Uh-huh.
So I was like at 250.
It's not a bad start.
No, dude,
Yeah.
it's not, because it trips me out that there's still guys now that are like at 150 or sometimes less. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
how are you even doing that? Like, it makes no sense to me.
Barely.
But yeah, they're just
Yeah.
stressed out their mind, or like not really making any money. They're just robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Yeah.
just keeping the money circulating or whatever. Which I get. We've all been there, I think. Getting started.
Yeah.
But so it ends. I end that year that I start pretty good. I'm like, oh, cool, this is great. Then we start the new year, and January was a little slower than December, November. I was like, what the heck? It's supposed to be busier.
Yep.
And then do that February in California. We got like unheard of rain that we hadn't had in like 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like dead slow, bro. Like it was like I was like, what did I do? I should have stayed with my 9 to 5. I
Yeah.
took on this freaking truck payment, and like I have these damn tools, and like I'm not having any work. I'm like, what the hell? So I go on to YouTube, and I'm like, I just got to start looking up. I've been listening to like business and entrepreneurial type, like self-improvement podcasts
Mm-hmm.
prior, and I was like, I'm gonna look for something plumbing related.
Mm-hmm.
And I come across a video that you're a guest on, and you're talking about, Plum Social
Yep.
and boosting your social media so you can kind of get known out there in the community. So I was like, I watched what you were doing, and I looked into your story, dude, and I was like, dude, that's badass. I was like, Alaska? 30,000 population or something like that?
It's 30,000 homes is where we were
Oh,
at.
30,000 homes.
60,000 population.
So it
Yeah.
just seemed very, like, I did the math, because like my town, I don't know the homes, but like population's 30,000, but like the neighboring town that's a little bit bigger is also about 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little town in between, which is about a little over 10,000. Then the two other little towns over here, 3,000, 1,000.
Yeah.
And then there's a few towns over that way. So like my whole area is like around 75,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that I'm like, I'll go service. And there's one town that I haven't really included in that, which is like another 30,000.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, if he could do it, like I could do it, man. Like I got a very similar,
Yep.
you know, population wise, and if I market and you know provide excellent customer service, which is what we're big on. Like customer service is like our biggest thing,
Yeah.
and people love us. And it other guys trip out when like they hear how we're running our business and the rates that we're charging.
Yep.
What? No way. But like we're also, you know, very courteous, very professional, very friendly. They
Yep.
love our freaking overalls, man. Like they
Yep.
can't say no to the overalls.
And so it's Santos Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start it with your brother?
My brother and I, yeah.
Is he still involved?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
worked together. There was a downtime when I was telling you right there, like that February where it was raining a whole bunch for a couple months, and even March, it kind of dipped down. It was pretty slow, and we're like stressing out. He's like, I gotta go. We gotta make money somehow or another.
Yeah.
So he got another job for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and he did that for about a year, and it would kind of help me out whenever bigger projects came about, some repipes
Mm-hmm.
that we did. And now he's back. He's been with me since the beginning of this year, and the year started off pretty good.
Cool.
Comparison to last year, doing better
Yeah.
than last year, which is pretty good. And we're just gonna keep it going, man.
Cool. And
Just
so,
2 trucks right now.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, like, did you start with? Because I thought I remember like you and your brother driving around together.
We were
Yeah.
at first,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that just because you only had one truck?
And that's just because what we knew, also, bro. We learned the trade, and I was always everyone like plumber and
There's always
helper.
2 guys.
2 guys.
Yeah.
That's just what we knew.
Yeah.
So we were both there, and like sometimes we'd kind of stumble when we're like doing the pitch or like talking like the options or whatever.
Yep.
And so like all right, you get this one, all right, I get that one, and all right, and then we just kind of tag team whatever the job was, and like one of us is handing the other guy the tools. And then when I
Nice.
saw that line that I heard you say, I had never heard before, but it makes perfect sense. No passenger princesses.
That's an Eddie Barkhurst line. He gets credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one, man.
It is a good one.
And my brother's like, I don't want to be no passenger princess. I was like, I don't want you to be a passenger princess. Just figure this out. So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
No passenger princesses no more, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you start your business. Like, what's it been like? It's been 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The first year was a little slow. You got your brother back with you. Like, what kind of? You started out cheap. You were like, "Hey, I'm going to go to 250."
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's cool. I mean, most people. I mean, just the fact that you had the mindset to do that, like, kudos. To be able to just go, you know, these other guys are charging more. I'm going to charge more. Most people don't do that. So, congrats for that.
Oh, thanks.
But so, like, what are the challenges that you faced, like, growing your business at that point in time? What are some things, some hangups that got you, you know, that you had to experience and go through to get to where you are today?
Some of the hangups would probably be like, I really like the marketing and the branding side of the
Mhm.
business, but I still think I need to do something different to get the phone to ring a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though and people, I get kudos all the time. People just recognize our trucks. They see
Yeah.
our videos on social media and on YouTube. The phone's not ringing enough, and I think that has something to do with the way that I have my Google stuff set up. Like
Mhm.
I still got to get that figured out, and I've been working on that. Mammoth, they've helped me out figure out some stuff
Mm-hmm.
to get some of those things dialed in. To get the phone ringing more, and my harder thing I would say that I've struggled with more is hiring on guys. And part of it goes with also not being busy enough, I think. Last year I had 4 guys work with me. One guy lasted like 4 days. We just didn't. I think my expectation might have been a little bit too high for him.
You're just too mean.
Like, dude, I think guys trip out, man, when I say like, you know, customer service is huge and
Mhm.
cleanliness is huge. Like
Yeah.
we got branded boot covers.
Yeah.
You know, we lay down the mat.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy, like, he was like messy, man. He was like messy. Like he didn't hesitate to like dive underneath the house, and he came out covered in mud. And I'm like, dude, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but like we got cardboard, we got plastic. Like
Yeah.
now you can't go inside Mrs. Jones' house, and like it hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying, like I was not even like mean or nothing.
Yep.
And then we worked inside Mrs. Jones' house, and we had a custom drywall, and yeah, the mat was laid down, but then it got all ruggled up, and then there's drywall being fallen off the mat onto the new flooring.
Yeah.
And then dudes walking, leaving footprints outside. I'm like, I started like, oh, why, bro? I need you to just like stop. We need to clean all this stuff up before we move forward with the work that needs to happen. He's like, I'm a plumber. We get messy. I'm like, we don't. We respect Mrs. Jones' house. Like, this is new flooring. We're going to keep it clean. And so he lasted like 4 days. And then my second guy.
Did you have to let him go, or did he?
Oh, dude, he quit on his own. You know what's funny? Because you shared something. I think it was like the richest or the plumber that sold this company for the most out in England.
Yeah.
He targeted the wealthy people.
Yeah.
Forget the dude's name. You guys shared something about him. And then I'm at the gym like at 5 a.m. in the morning that Friday. And like Monday was a good day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was like bad. Like he was just complaining. This dude almost had like a little pout session because we like, hey, we're waiting for the next call to get confirmed. Meanwhile, let's clean the truck. And he like almost like had a therapy session with the guy. I'm all right, bro. Like fucking let it out. Let's hear it. Okay, cool. You got it off your chest. You feel better? It's like, yeah, I feel better. All right, cool. Let's get to it. You know, and that was on a Wednesday. Thursday, I let him go do like a call on his own. Then he sends me this long text complaining. And I was like, man, this guy's just like a whiner. I wake up Friday morning and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I'm at the gym. I'm listening to that podcast. You talked about that guy. And he was like, as soon as you get a gut feeling about a guy's not going to work out, let him go.
Yeah.
And you had said too, also, hire fast, fire fast.
Yep.
I was like, I think I'm going to have to let this guy go. And he has a brand new truck. Like I bought a truck for this guy to drive. And he calls me like at 7:30 a.m. And I've already showered and I'm putting on my overalls, getting ready for the day. He's like, hey man, I don't think this is gonna work out. I was like, great, bro, we're on the same page. I'm like, we're on the same page. It worked out great. So I wrote him a check for the 4 days that he worked. And then the second guy was just for whatever reason, my first year, April was my busiest month. My second year last year, April was my slowest month of the year. And I have no rhyme or reason. Like I had to increase the ad spend. I've already been in business for a year. Phone didn't ring for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so that guy, I don't blame him. He quit after 3 weeks. And then third guy said he knew how to do all the stuff. You can't fake the funk when it comes to plumbing, bro. Like
nope.
the dude couldn't use tube cutters for copper. He couldn't use a measuring tape. Like he could not use a measuring tape. And I'm like, bro. He's like setting the pipe on the ground, holding it with his foot, trying to stretch out. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's telling me he ran full-on water mains from the city shut off to the house and doing all this stuff. And he's showing me these pictures. And I'm like, dude, this guy maybe was a helper digging.
Yeah.
Which he was really good at that. We did a repipe and he helped us dig. And he was good at picking up trash and throwing it away. He had a great attitude. The dude had a great attitude, very positive, very friendly, smiley. The homeowner loved him. And I told him, like, dude, the best thing you got going for yourself is your attitude, bro. Like I had the conversation with him 3 weeks in. I'm like, this is just not going to work out. You don't know the trade. Like I can't just have you be a helper because we don't have these projects happening on a weekly basis. Like I need someone that's competent enough to go out there, take a look at the issue.
Produce some revenue.
Yeah. Yep. And he just wasn't. And it was a great conversation. And that guy, he's cool, man. He's got such a good heart. He's called me a couple times. Hey, I see your videos, man. You guys are the best. You guys are a great company to work for. He's a great guy. And then the fourth guy, young dude, has a pretty good grasp of the trade, almost ready to hop into a truck. So I was like, okay, I've struggled with 3 guys. This guy, good attitude, has a pretty good grasp. I'm okay with working him for a few months, get him behind a truck. And dude couldn't get to work, man.
Yep. Hitting the bottle.
Yeah, man. It's like, I get it. I was at that age too, in my early 20s, and I like to party and go out and drink and stuff, but like I never missed work for that.
Yep.
And
isn't that weird? Like
I don't get it.
I've been late to work. It's one time in let's see. I mean, I own my own company, so you can't really be late, but during my career, when I worked for somebody else, I was late one time and it freaked me out. I was like, I'm never doing that again. I don't care what happens. I'm getting to work on time. And then I'll hire like 30-year-old men and they can't show up to work on time. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? I had that talk with a guy the other day. He'd been late like 3 times in the last 2 months. And I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you're late again. And he goes, yeah, I know. I'm really sorry. Like really nice about it. Called ahead of time to let me know. And he's blaming it on traffic. And I'm like, look, You can't be late for work. If traffic is bad, you have to leave early enough to account for bad traffic. That's called adulthood. So you know what happens to the guy who's late when we get slow and work is not, there's not enough work for everybody and we got to, God forbid, lay somebody off. Guess who gets laid off?
The guy that can't
The guy
get to
who's
work.
late. I said, don't be that guy. Like, why would you want to be that guy? Just so from now on, set your alarm 15 minutes earlier, wake up 15 minutes earlier, and then you get here early every day. And if traffic is extra bad one day, you got an extra 15-minute buffer. It's not that difficult. Make that happen. It's like that. I had to tell him that for him to show up to work on time. Why?
That's nuts, bro.
I don't get it.
Have you come across that a lot?
A bit. I'm a little less like, I used to be a lot more lenient of things. Like when I was growing Prospector, I was way too lenient.
Oh,
and then
wow.
like when the business got big, we had to wrangle it in.
Nice.
And it was a lot of work. And I wasn't even there for the wrangling in. It was mostly my GM,
Eddie
that wrangled
Nice.
it in for us, right?
Shout out to Eddie.
Dude, kudos to that guy. But he's the one who like really recognized what the problem was. I'd built like a culture of entitlement because I was too nice of a guy. So now building Dude Wash, I'm very specific on like, this is what I expect out of you. We have bi-weekly check-in meetings where I fill out a scorecard with the expectations on it. I go over them with you. I make you sign it. We put notes on it. I sign it.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in your employee file. 2 weeks go by. I pull out your past scorecards. I grab a new one. We fill it out together. And I'm like looking at it. Oh, you've been late 3 times, or hey, your close rate isn't what it should have been the last 3 weeks, or, what do we got to do? I want to see improvement somewhere.
That's right.
And after 3 weeks, if there's no improvement, we have a very different conversation. I don't think this is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
I think we need to promote you to customer.
I like that
Yeah.
line. My old manager at Home Depot used to say that.
Yeah.
They're not doing it right. Promote them to customer.
Yeah. So I'm way less tolerant about that stuff, but it's, you get what you tolerate.
It tripped me out, bro. One of the lines that, one of the things that you said, and I'm like, what? No way. Because I've always been just very gun-ho wherever I work at.
Mhm.
And I take very pride. Like when I was at Home Depot, I was like, yeah, forget Lowe's, Home Depot.
Yeah.
When I was working at my uncle's company, I'd be like, F those other companies, only Izzy Plumbing.
Yeah.
And my uncle's like, oh, no. We're all
Yeah.
colleagues out here. So, but I've always just been very much like that. And so I've always taken pride in my work.
Yeah.
And when I don't see other people behaving in that same manner, I'm like, it just trips me out. And I never, since a young age, I just never grasped my mind around that.
Yep.
And
That's why you own your own business.
probably,
You're a rare breed.
yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
Like people like that are really hard to come by. And when you come by them, I hold on
want
to
'em.
them. I'm like, I got to
Yeah.
pay you more. I'm going to give you better benefits.
See, I need to
Like,
find those people.
You're the man. They're rare, man. And when you find them, you got to hold on to them. Like Joel, the guy who used to sit over there, he's out washing now. I literally just hired him and was like, okay, how do we make something so he can get paid? Because he's such a good dude that I know, like, I've got big plans. I didn't quite know what they were at the time, but I was like, I need good people, because in most of my success is not a whole lot of what I did. It's mostly like what the good people around me did.
It's a team effort.
It's 100% a team effort, and the right people in the right seat, doing the right things it'll get you a long, long ways, Cause like Joel's wife, for instance, I hired her as my CSR. I didn't know what the hell she needed to do.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what to tell her to do. I just said, look, here's the phone. I gave her my cell phone and I said, book the jobs. Like, just book the jobs.
and text me when they're booked and I'll go do them.
Yep. And so, and she was of the right mindset to go, okay, Jared's running a company. He probably needs to make as much money as humanly possible. So that means I need to make sure I answer the phone. I need to come up with a way where I consistently book jobs at a high level. And then I need to figure out how to run his schedule so that it's not chaotic and we're keeping as many of the customers as we can and he can produce a bunch of revenue. And that's what she went and did.
That's right.
So she designed the outcome and designed the job and then made it happen. Like that kind of person. When I find those kind of people, it's awesome.
Those are good people, man.
Because I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, they helped you figure it out.
Yeah. And then like when I hired, there was a couple other people that I hired, couple technicians that I hired that just came in and just went to work, and they were just like money. I
Killing
got to
it.
make money for this company. And they came in just at the right time where it was like exactly what I needed. And that person just jumped on it. It was dope.
That's awesome.
And then Eddie came in, and I didn't know what to tell Eddie to do. And so like, I like showed him what I do, and I left him alone for like a couple of weeks. I showed him what I do for like a day because I didn't know what I was doing. And then we started to like identify problems in the business, and then he would come up with the solution and implement the solution and make stuff happen.
And you're like, hell yeah, do
And
it.
he made the position what it was. Like he was solely responsible for like making sure everybody was performing in that company, making sure there was money happening. And I didn't have to do any of that. It was awesome.
That's badass.
So
man.
all I had to do was supply like the starting point and the vision, and then they go implement and just make everything happen. It's rad.
That is
it's
super
like-
rad.
It's like the best way to go, in my opinion. So I don't know why we got on that topic, but
About attracting people, that's my biggest hardship. Attracting the right talent and the right people to work with that want to be a part of something. Because I want to do something big too, man.
yeah,
And people around us in the community, I think they see that
yeah,
and they see it. Dude, some people will look at us like, "Oh man, you guys are like doing it."
yeah,
We just got a billboard up. And
yeah.
they're like, "Whoa,
Dope.
that's badass."
Yeah,
They see our the way that we do our videos. And
Yeah.
we promote ourselves, and we mean business. Like we're very professional, very courteous, very friendly. And every now and then when people don't want to book us because they feel the rate is too high for whatever reason, maybe we didn't provide enough value. I take accountability for not providing enough value and explaining why this cost what it cost.
Yep.
And they call the other company, but the other guys are like, "Oh, I can't believe you're charging that much," And we want guys. I'm like, dude, this is all mathematically based so that we have a successful, profitable business, and so that our guys can have a good living here as well.
Yeah.
And we want that. One of a local guy was telling me, he was like, "Dude, it's hard to find guys because we just can't pay them enough to afford to live here."
Why?
And I'm like, I was like, just raise your rate.
Yeah.
Oh, people don't want to pay that much. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot then. It's
Dude,
like,
that's the industry as a whole right there. It's like, I've heard I've said this on this podcast before, but I think it was Tom Howard. He put out a video. He's in his kitchen. Tom Howard, he owns Lee's Heating and Air. It's like over 100 million.
My uncle works for him in
really?
Fresno.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool. You know him?
And so I've never met him personally. I saw him at Service Titan or at the Pantheon event. But I've watched his videos, and that like you should go check out his YouTube channel.
I'll have to.
He's in his kitchen, and he's like, you know what the problem with the trades is? Like everybody says there's a people shortage, but there's not a people shortage. And he goes, there's a pay shortage. If you paid plumbers $1 million an hour, if you put a job ad out for $1 million an hour,
Plumbers would line up.
dude, you'd have plumbers out the door. Kids would be going to college. They'd be doing whatever they could do to become a plumber because it pays $1 million an hour.
Mm.
It's not, and I think it's the contractor's fault. It's partly the contractor's fault, partly the homeowner's fault. The contractors aren't willing to charge enough
Mm-hmm.
to be able to pay their guys well, so that it's an attractive industry to the upcoming generations.
Yep,
That's slowly changing.
it is.
Then on the homeowner's end, they don't understand what kind of business practices they're supporting when they hire the cheap ass plumbers.
Yeah.
They don't understand that guy is barely making it, and that he'll never be able to retire, and that he's going to get to like 60 years old and be screwed.
Yeah.
Like he's literally built something that has zero value with no retirement and no end game.
Yeah.
And so I think there's business owners, we need to educate business owners to pay their guys more so they can charge more, so they can run legitimate businesses. And we need to educate homeowners on supporting that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Well, I think these conversations kind of help drive that,
Yeah.
because I don't think this conversation was really happening that much.
No.
10 years ago, let alone 15, 20 years ago.
No.
Maybe not even 5 years ago, really, that much.
Well, I
It's
mean,
starting to.
like I remember, it's like when I first started my partnership, because it was a partnership with another guy. It was J&J Mechanical. My partner, the other J, is still in business under J&J Mechanical.
Nice.
And he was probably still works his ass off. He's one of those guys. He's probably, I'm 40, so he's probably 51, 52, having to work every day, still working, no retirement, and just has to go bust his ass 7 days a week,
sucks, bro.
12 hours a day. He makes a good living doing it, but there is no end game.
Yeah, no, that's a bummer.
Anyway, but when I first started that company, that was, I think it was 2017 or it was like 2016 or 17. And there was a plumber in town that was charging $180 an hour for the first hour and $155 for every hour after that. So we're talking 11 years ago. He was charging that. And that was like the top. Like he was charging, like everybody thought he was insane.
He's charging so much.
Oh yeah, I thought he was crazy. That back then you could probably run a business off of. Like that guy grew his business to a pretty decent sized business. He didn't raise rates never rose rates the whole time.
Wow.
He ended up selling that business. I think he did it for 20 years, ended up running it into the dirt because he never raised rates. Had like one employee left, sold the business to his employee for like $500K.
Oh, man.
But so imagine like 11 years ago, $155 an hour, $180 an hour. And there's people starting their business today and they're still charging. I just talked to a guy at Home Depot the other day that recognized me. He brought up his phone to me.
Hey, you're that guy.
Dude, I was buying crimp ring fittings, which I'm like, that's embarrassing to me.
Yeah, bro, I was about to say, wait, you guys do crimp?
No, I don't. I'm a Wurzbo guy through and through. And anyway, I was buying crimp ring fittings for my van. I didn't want to buy a Wurzbo tool.
Oh,
I didn't even know where to get Wurzbo fittings. Come to find out, Lowe's carries them.
Oh, do they?
But I go to Home Depot. So
yeah, me too. Home Depot. All the
yeah,
way.
well, Lowe's has Wurzbo now. It's actually pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And in our town, Home Depot now has Apollo, and Lowe's doesn't have
cool.
any expansion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, is this you? And I was like, yeah. Turns out he just started his plumbing business. I'm like, what are you charging an hour? And he was like, $70 an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, dude, you're going to die. He was like, no, I can't charge more than that. And so I'm talking to him and he said, there's guys in town charging like big companies. They're like $80, $90 an hour.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plumbing down here so
there's opportunity down here.
Dude, there's massive opportunity down here. Massive.
That's crazy, bro.
I don't know if it's like this all across Florida, because I imagine it gets different when you get down into like Miami and those areas. But up here in the Panhandle, dude, it's like they're like 30 years behind. There's
no way.
People don't even advertise here. Like it's like everybody asks you for a business card. And I didn't get it when I first came down here. I was like, why does everybody want business cards? And they're like, that's just how we do it down here. We're very word of mouth. And I was like, huh. And come to find out, I think that they're word of mouth because they have to be, because nobody advertises.
But so, have you done like your research as far as plumbing companies in the area goes? Like,
yeah.
And even the top dogs aren't really doing much marketing, or
there's one top dog. That's it.
Really?
Yep. Named Peden. They're a big company. They started here and they go all the way down the coast they're about to like dip down into Tampa. They're probably a few $100 million company.
Oh,
yeah.
Badass.
Yeah.
And their rate is nowhere at $80 an hour.
No, but what's crazy is their rate isn't that bad. It's probably like $250, $300. But plumbers down here make like $25 an hour.
Oh, you were saying that.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me too, man.
It is crazy.
Like,
it's wild.
Yeah.
But you don't need a license.
To plumb?
Yeah. So
What?
you just like the only person that needs a license is the business owner.
You just need a business license.
You need a business license and a plumbing license. Like you have to get your plumbing license to open the business.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
All your
Okay.
plumbers that work under you, no licensing.
Oh, yeah. That's like California.
Is it?
Yeah. That's how we're like that.
That's weird that California would be that way.
Yeah, I've heard people
Seems
say
backwards.
that. When I met some of the guys at the trade winds earlier
Mhm.
this year, some of them were saying that. Like,
Yeah.
That's so weird. California is so restrictive on so many things,
Yeah.
but yet comes down to this, and they're like, only the business owner needs to hold the license. The other guys don't really need to.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alaska was everybody had to have a license.
And that's a trip that makes it harder.
Dude, real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, real hard.
Yeah.
So you can just hire anybody.
I mean, I could, but I wouldn't want to.
So, I used to think that I needed to hire like highly skilled people. Then we started hiring people who had better character, but maybe they didn't have the skill sets that we needed, but they had the mechanical aptitude.
Okay.
Right. So maybe they like all of our guys came from new construction for the most part. We only hired a couple like people that had service experience.
Oh, really?
And so we would bring them in and have to teach them how to do service. And we would do hydronic heating, and a lot of that is controls with like low voltage wiring that was just like mind blowing to these guys because they'd never thought about it. And it's not super complicated. You can teach it. And so we would end up teaching all that stuff to these guys. And so our onboarding process went from like a week long to a month long to sometimes like 3 months long, depending on the person.
Oh, wow.
Just so they could learn all those skill sets. But if you hired the guy on character and he was, he could communicate, he could look you in the eye, he could shake your hand. And I like guys that had families at home.
Yeah.
And you taught them the skill set, they turned out to be pretty good employees.
Oh, wow. That's a good strategy right there.
Yeah. And then like my neighbor down here. So I met my neighbor. He grew a plumbing business down here. He was on the podcast. I don't know if you saw it, but
I think he's part of the guy that's
he's
doing the
throwing
event tomorrow, right?
Yeah, the event tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Listen, that was a good one.
Yeah. So he did it. He grew his business 0 to 8 million in 3 years here.
Savage.
Yep.
Badass.
Actually in Navarre, one town over from here.
Oh, okay.
One town down the coast. But he quit hiring plumbers. He was like, screw it. I'm not hiring plumbers anymore, because same thing. He'd hire guys and they'd be total wrecks, or they wouldn't even know how to plumb, or they'd be prima donnas. And he was like, screw this. So he started hiring like 22-year-old kids who had mechanical ability and a good character. And he would run them through a course that he created that was just YouTube videos. So he made a list of like 80% of, the services that he does 80% of the time. And he said, okay, these are my main core services. These are the ones I need to teach. And he went through and put a video course together, like on a platform similar to like school, like the Wealthy Plumber course is on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, where it's like how to install a toilet, how to rebuild a toilet, how to change a toilet flapper, how to change a gasket on a toilet. Like just went through a toilet and said, found a video on how to do all the stuff, went to a faucet, video on how to do all the stuff, and so on and so on and so on. And he would have them go through that course on how to do all that. And then they would go ride around with his best guy for like 3 months. He said after 3 months, between the videos and the on-the-job training, he'd have 22-year-old kids that were out performing the plumbers he had on in his job.
I think I vaguely remember hearing that.
Yeah.
I was driving when I'm listening to it.
I've talked to him quite a bit about it.
That's pretty cool.
Outside of the podcast, yeah.
You mentioned Tom Howard is his name?
Yeah.
Lee's.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually visited their facility because one of my uncles, Izzy's little brother, my uncle Fernando, shout out to them. He had moved out to Fresno. That's about 2 hours away from us. And he works for them. He said, dude, you got to come check this out. It's a massive like warehouse, and they have like, a fleet of like 100 trucks or something.
Yeah.
And I go out there and they have like a whole training for the HVAC and the whole training for the plumbing side.
Yeah.
And so they run their guys through the training course.
Yep.
And then they get to go out in the field.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. So you could do something similar on a micro scale.
And you know what I thought about too is like my uncle's super cool and he knows the bosses there pretty good. I think that if I kind of thought about doing something like that because I think, Jimmy Hiller, the smiley face plumber.
Yeah.
So he has that also where he's out in Tennessee.
Yep.
And he actually offers.
That's only like 7 hours north of here.
Oh, really? That's pretty close?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, he offers a training course. Send
cool.
your new guys out here and we'll run them through I think it's like a month-long course. I can't remember how much it costs. And they do, classroom setting training, and then they do hands-on training. They have like these mock setups of houses and crawl spaces and
that's cool.
Open walls and stuff like that. And I kind of thought about doing something like that. Finding the right guy, like you said, the right character.
Yep.
young, when they have a
Yep.
future, and show them, hey, you could put yourself and your family in a much better position at a young age getting into this,
Yep.
and I'll invest a little bit into you, and let's run it.
Yeah.
It's finding that, like you said, if I find the right character and the right
Yeah.
person that,
I just did that with a
We'll work
kid
out with.
here. I put out some job ads for a pressure washing position. And this kid, he's 22 years old, I was worried he wasn't going to be able to sell because he's so young looking. And dude, he's been crushing it.
Wow.
Just absolutely crushing it.
And so he gets commission off of those sales too?
Yeah.
So how is your structure for Dude Watch different from Prospector?
It's identical. Yep. So it's $35 an hour and they get 10% commission on anything over $7,500
For the week?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And so like this week, let's see, end of day yesterday, he was already at $8,900 for the week.
So
3 days in.
He's gonna get that. Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll do another $2,000 or $3,000 this week at least. He'll make an extra $300 or $400 on his paycheck.
And that adds up, man.
Oh yeah,
And he's happy.
dude. He's like
Stoked.
because I'm paying him $35 an hour,
Plus all
and
that.
like his parents would probably make $25 an hour, and he's 22, and so he's just like happy. He's so stoked. It's like
That's
the
badass.
best thing ever.
Yeah.
And he's been awesome. He shows up early every day. He went through all of our sales training. He learned all of our scripts. He'll repeat them right back to you. He puts in the effort.
Nice.
It's like you couldn't ask for more.
Yeah.
Never complains.
Especially him being so young. He's like,
Yeah.
got a gold mine right here.
Oh yeah. Yep. He's got a gold mine and I got a gold mine.
It's a win-win.
It is.
What led you to pressure washing, bro? Going from plumbing to get into
So
doing that.
we had Plum Social, like you were talking about, and so I don't know. We had Plum Social. That turned out to be a little bit of a difficult business. So because it's social media content,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy it. That's really what it was. What it boiled down to is I didn't enjoy that business at all. And I had Joel and 2 other employees working in that business at the time. And we decided to pivot and go into coaching. And so we started coaching. And when we first started the coaching program, it was like, I think it was $10,000 for a 12-month commitment. So
Yeah.
10 grand up front. And so when you're selling, it's like a high ticket coaching model. And when you're selling that, you got to have a sales team because you ain't going to buy 10 grand off a landing page on a website, right?
Yeah.
I got to sit you down with a guy on a Zoom call and he's got to tell you all the details of what's in it and what you can expect and then take your money from you, right?
Mhm.
And so we were doing that and it got us going and got us by. And we had a couple sales guys and Joel was the head of the sales team basically. And we decided my social media kicked off enough to where we can now sell our coaching program, literally the exact same thing for $99 a month
I see that.
instead of 10 grand for the whole year. And we did that because I like it better. I hate sales teams. I really do. I didn't enjoy having a sales team. I didn't enjoy charging 10 grand for information. What I hated is that the person who can't afford it is the person who needs it.
Yeah.
And our mission was to change the world one plumbing business at a time. Because from my experience growing my plumbing business, we made an impact on tons of lives. And I thought if we can do that with more businesses and get them to run well and each make an impact, that's going to change the world.
Yeah.
So that's always been our mission, change the world one plumbing business at a time. Help them run well-oiled machines that pay their employees well, that treat their customers well, and make their owners lots of money. It's always been the mission. And so charging somebody, like we weren't able to help the guy who didn't have the 10 grand. I didn't like it. Like they had to have it some sort of figured out.
Yeah.
And with my social media, most of the people that we would attract didn't have the 10 grand. They were just starting out in their business. They didn't know what to do. And there's nobody in the space like helping them at an affordable cost, right?
Yeah.
And so we flipped the model on its head and we said, well, let's charge $99 a month for it. We set a launch date of it. We sold 6-month contracts all the way up until 6 months before our $99 launch date. And then we fired all of our sales team. And then we basically spent all of our money on ads. So last year we spent over $1 million on Facebook ads.
Wow.
And we basically drained our bank account to almost zero. And then we turned off the ads, but we created all this monthly recurring contract revenue, right? And so we collected all that revenue, ended the year with a nice fat bank account, and then launched the course at $99 a year. And then we had money to start advertising the $99 a month. Had money to start advertising the $99 a month thing. But when I fired my sales guys, Joel, the guy who does the podcast with me, who is a super good dude, whose wife was the first person that I hired, who
That's your
just
CSR.
like came in and kicked some ass. I didn't want to lose him. And so I was like, what do I do with Joel now? And so we started a pressure washing business because I was like, Joel can pressure wash. That was it.
That was it, huh?
That was
just,
it, man.
Just to keep him busy, you're like, I'm gonna start. Okay, so, but like, why pressure washing? Like, what?
I saw,
you like started looking at different businesses and thought, all right,
I saw a Cody Sanchez video. Yeah, have you seen Cody Sanchez?
No, I haven't.
She's like the chick who is all about like boring businesses. She goes and buys businesses. So she did an interview with. There's a company called Rolling Suds. They're the nation's largest like pressure washing franchise. And they started going over some of their numbers. And so I had Joel book a meeting to become a Rolling Suds franchisee. And we saw their P&Ls and all that good stuff. It'd be funny if that guy listens to this. And I thought, dang, that's pretty impressive. Like pretty decent margins on that. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, well, Joel could do it. And you don't need any licensing. It's a pretty easy skill to teach. And I started, I had an experience like 3 to 4 months prior where I needed a pressure washer and I couldn't find one. I called through like 20 of the pressure washers in town and none of them answered their phone.
That's crazy.
And so then I started doing some like competitive research, like looking at all the top guys in town, and they all got blue and white brands with the pressure washing wand, and they all look identical, and they all have names that aren't memorable. And I'm like, this reminds me a lot of the plumbing industry, except there's like literally nobody doing it well.
Wow.
And so
nothing but opportunity.
Yeah. So we were like, start a pressure washing business. And so we went and we did some spying on their trucks, and we found a truck outfitter, and we talked to them about kind of the design we wanted to do, and then bought 2 trucks actually. And sent them off to the truck outfitters and waited for them to get them built. And in the meantime, I started doing the branding and the website and all that stuff.
That's a cool name, Dude Wash.
Yeah.
And the logo's pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long has that been like officially up and running?
So I think we got the licensing in September of 2024. And then we got our first truck here early November, late October, early November. And then we went and washed for free for 2 months.
You washed for free?
Yeah, because we didn't know how to wash. So
I'm gonna learn how to wash by washing for free.
Yeah, so Joel would literally walk his neighborhood on the weekend and schedule people for wash jobs for the week, free wash jobs.
Oh wow.
And then and so we got a GMB, and we would do free wash jobs, and the catch was you got to give us a review. So we got 88 reviews on like our first GMB in just a couple months.
Nice.
Yep. And then we were pretty confident. We knew how to wash. We knew we didn't even know how to build like a price book because we didn't know
how long it was going to take.
We didn't know how long it was going to take to wash this big a driveway versus this big a driveway. We didn't know if we were going to get the results that we should be getting. So, yeah.
Wow, bro, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then so we started billing in January of this year. So January we did 20K, February we did 40K, March we did 84K. It was actually a really good month. And then last month we did way less. It was like, I think it was like, maybe not way less, but it was like 60K. And then this month I bet we'll do another 60 or 70K. Yep.
And that's Joel and the other guy.
Yeah, it's mostly, so I've had, I just got this 22-year-old kid. He's been riding with Joel. I've only got 2 trucks. I actually have 3 here, but one of my trucks is in the shop, brand new truck, and it wobbles at like 60 miles an
that's a
hour.
bummer.
So they're trying to get it fixed.
Alignment or something.
Yep. And so I've got one guy who's been underperforming. And then I've got Joel and DeAndre is his name. They're in a truck together. So they started out with Joel selling all the jobs and doing all the work. And then DeAndre took it over like 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
He's out there just killing it, doing better than Joel was.
Oh, wow.
And
Hungry.
yeah, he's cool.
I
He's
love
a cool
that.
kid. They're doing good. If I had them separated in their own trucks, we would be destroying it right now. Yeah.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Just like based off your experience with the plumbing and how you started and scaled it and grew it.
Yeah.
And all your business experience you got with that, you're able to like be in a new area,
Yep.
look at your competitors in
Yeah.
that field and be like, all right, strategically, I want to do this. Then you go out there like, well, I need to learn how to do this, do it. And now you
Yeah.
guys are doing what you're doing.
It's the same, but different.
It's the same, but
It's the same, but different. Like the market, like if you, to start a plumbing business here versus a plumbing business in Fairbanks, Alaska, you're going to do the same thing. Here, it's going to take longer. Just because there's more people here doing it. There's more people trying to get attention here. Like people market in Fairbanks, Alaska, and you're the odd man out, right? And people don't hear, like people here don't market, but there's like people outside of here market to people here.
Oh,
Right. So like Facebook ads cost more. Like billboards here are stuffed full of lawyers. So you're kind of competing with space to get attention from the lawyers. There's like it's just a different market. And so it would take longer here for sure.
to grow your business.
100%.
It wouldn't be like that, 2 years of how fast you grew it in Fairbanks.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you could sink enough money into marketing to make that happen. We'll find out. I'll tell you in a year and a half.
Are you going to do a plumbing company out here?
No, but we should be able to grow so that's the other thing I don't know is like I started a pressure washing company.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't 100% know what it would be like to grow a plumbing company here.
Oh, okay.
Because the need for pressure washing versus plumbing is totally different.
Yeah.
Like there's a much bigger demand for plumbing than there is for pressure washing.
Mm.
The demand is growing for pressure washing and there's less people serving that need. But if I started a plumbing business here, we'd probably be like I tell Jill all the time, we should just start a plumbing business. like
that's what I know.
Like way back in the day when we started doing social media, we should have started a plumbing business. We should have never done coaching. We should have just started a plumbing business. Like, why didn't we do that? We would have been light years ahead right now, probably.
Oh, that's funny.
One of the two, yeah.
But dude, you've learned so much other things doing what you've done.
No, definitely. Yeah.
One of the things that had got me that I was going to mention earlier is that with hiring people and having your staff, your employees, team members, is like set the standard of what you want it to be at 90% and then be okay with them hitting 70. That always tripped me out, man. I'm like, what? Yeah, like 80. What's his butt says 80% done is better than 100% you doing it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is true. Delegating. Yeah. So, but I like the model that you're talking about, finding the guys with the right attitude, the right mentality, capable. So, I mean, think about how fast you picked up plumbing. Dude, 3 months in, bro, I did a full day of service calls on my own. I still remember that day. Yeah. So imagine if you found you. Yeah, I wish. That'd be awesome. Yeah. You wouldn't look for somebody that knew plumbing. You would be looking for a certain character. Yeah. A certain type of individual. That's the individual you need to find. Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of different from what you were saying kind of before, like finding someone that's experienced to get in the truck, ready to go. Yeah. And kind of roll with the punches, man. Yep. How life is going. Yeah. If you live in a town where if you can get like in Fairbanks, Alaska, that wasn't even an option because just legally I couldn't do that. I couldn't hire a guy who could plumb and then 3 months later put him in a truck by himself. It wouldn't fly. Mm-hmm. I'd get in trouble. But if you can do that in your state and you can teach it and you've got the people, go for it. Yeah. All day long. That's what I'm going to have to I remember myself, I don't know, 6 months into my career, you could have put me
I wasn't doing service work. I was doing like new construction work. But 6 months in, they could be like, hey, go rough in that bathroom. And I would go rough in the bathroom.
That's right.
And it would be 90% good enough.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Might not be exactly how somebody else would have done
Maybe
it.
a couple extra little shims on the toilet or something.
Yeah, something. But it was good enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as there's no leaks, man, no squeaks, and everything's draining.
No leaks, no squeaks, and the customer's happy. That's all that matters. Really.
Exactly.
I think a lot of guys get stuck on, they focus so much on the plumbing aspect, and they have such high standards for their plumbing. And then they start getting guys in, and the standard for the plumbing isn't right. And it just freaks them out.
That's another thing I remember hearing you say, and I really like, and I need to, like, hearing it is one thing, and then putting it into practice is another thing. Like what you said is like, at the end of the day, also like Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Smith, they don't care about plumbing. It's about the interaction that we're having with you, and as long as there's no leaks, no squeaks, and everything's good, it's they care more about how we make them feel, and how the interaction was.
Yep, you can't install like total garbage, but
right, absolutely,
it doesn't have to be like perfect, right?
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
Because we do get caught up on that. We want it to be.
Oh, dude, that's how I was when I plumbed. It was like I was so anal about stuff. And then I started my own business, and that it went away pretty quick. I was like, I got to make money at this.
I remember when I was working for my uncle, I was plumbing in some lines, and it was like in an area like where it was not going to be seen. I don't know if it was like, I can't remember if it was like in a closet somewhere, but it's like going to be behind the walls. Like, it didn't really matter. And like one of the lines that I ran was like a little off. Yeah. Hey, what is this? And I was like, well, it's the hot side, it's the cold side. And he's like, but why is it like that? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what is plumbing? What is the definition of plumb? And I was like, plumb? Like, what do you mean? Plumb. And he put his hand like this. It's supposed to be straight. And I'm like, bro, like that doesn't even matter. It's like not gonna leak or nothing. Yep. He's like, make it plumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we think. Yep. And sometimes it, service work it doesn't really matter that much sometimes.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
It's crazy. And then there's guys out there that'll be like, well, hear us having this conversation right now. And they'll be like, no,
they're going to freak out. Yeah.
These are hacks.
They're going to be in the comments.
They're going to be in the comments. Don't hire these guys. They don't care about doing good plumbing.
Yep. I don't really care about doing good plumbing anymore. Yeah. I care about it being good enough
to function
properly, to look halfway decent, and to create happy customers. That's to the extent that I care about it. Other than that, like if my guy went into a house and ran a piece of PEX or a piece of copper and it wasn't perfectly straight, but it's getting covered up by sheetrock, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't
Get
matter.
over it. I remember there was a guy who started his business about the same time as me, and he was doing residential new construction, and he was bidding them super cheap. And I was like, man, how's this guy making any money? And then I went to one of the jobs that he did, and he was just
slapping them.
I mean, just slapping that stuff in there, like as fast as humanly possible. It would look so bad. And I was like, And that dude literally got every new construction job in the city of Fairbanks.
Wow.
Like he was the new construction plumber.
That was his model.
And he worked his ass off he probably still is working his ass off, but his thing was he kept saying, if I do this for 10 years, he's really good at saving money. He would do it for 10 years. I can save it. I could put enough money away to where I can retire for good.
Oh, good for him.
And that was his thing.
If that works for him, man.
Yeah. I said, you're retarded, but whatever.
Hey, some people, they need less, or they're okay with less, or.
So I'm one of those guys, but just to work that hard for 10 years when you got a wife and kids at home, I don't know.
To each their own.
You're
retarded.
I think so. I would never do it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to work that hard either, dude. I want to freaking get myself out of the truck and scale this up, and I put everyone else in a better position, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the future of Santos Bros Plumbing look like? What are your goals?
So when I first got the license, man, and it's funny, I talked to my uncle about it, and I was like, I want 10 trucks. And he thought I was like way too ambitious, man. I was like, 3 trucks is perfect. I'm like, that. No, I want 10 trucks. And it's very like ambitious of me to say something like that, or also at the same time a little ignorant, because now what I say is I pretty much just want to max out what my market will sustain. You know,
Yeah.
if it is 10 trucks, fuck yeah. And if I can scale it to a little bit past that,
Yep.
great. If I max out and I notice that, you know what, 7 or 8, I'm able to keep all these guys busy and I just can't really get into that, I'll do that. And then I want to get into HVAC
Yeah.
eventually.
I was gonna say you could always add HVAC, then add
And then
electrical.
pretty
Yep.
much at that point, once we get HVAC in and then eventually probably electrical or something else, roofing's supposed to be taken off or whatever,
Yeah.
just kind of go more like home services,
Yeah.
you know, kind of all under an umbrella. And I just keep driving customer service. That's what we're really big on. And
Yep.
we get tons of kudos for that. People really love our smiles and, you know, we're so friendly and courteous and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Just keep driving that same deal, man. And just, you know, see how far we can take it.
Do you like where you live? You like your hometown?
Oh, I love it, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I would move. I say that, but I mean, I'm open to. I like traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I like visiting new areas,
Mm-hmm.
checking things out. But I love where I'm at, man. New York Times named Paso Robles a top 10 destination to visit a few years back.
I'm gonna have to come visit you.
Dude, it's cool out there, man.
Yeah.
Dude, if you come out and visit me, man, I'll hook you guys up. I think did I mention to you last time I like to barbecue?
Yeah.
Like a deep underground barbecue pit.
Yeah. My brother
Yeah.
told me about it.
Yeah, dude, you guys should both come out. Man. Bring your families out there. You cruise your van out there.
Yeah.
There's vineyards. You guys can go wine tasting, check out the sites, the hilltops, mountains. I mean, there's smaller mountains, but you know, there's this really thing that really took off called the Field of Lights,
Mm-hmm.
and people from all over the world are coming out to check out this literal Field of Lights. People like it.
What is it?
A field of lights.
Just like Christmas lights or what?
They're these fucking little light bulbs, man.
Really?
It's like a little stick. There's like solar attached to them, and there's like these little light bulbs, and there's like a field of rolling hills, and it's just lights, and it's like an art show. And now they've added some more things to it. The coolest one, recent one that they added is called Dimensions, and I finally went to go see it because I actually live right down the road from it. For years I never went, and they kept adding things to it. I think they're going to turn it into a whole like resort eventually. I think is their plan.
Oh, cool.
But there's like these giant steel, iron figures, and there's lights in them, and then they're like moving, and so it's like dimensions. It's probably trip out if you're on, you know, some mushrooms or something.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah, I love the town, man. I love it. I don't plan on going anywhere, but you know, I do like to visit other areas.
Cool.
Yeah.
So not going anywhere. Build up a good business there, and
Yeah, start a family.
yeah.
I want to have a big family one day. You know, I want to be able to take care of them and have them not have to work out of necessity. We kind of grew up a little tough like that.
Yeah.
With tight budget, and then instill good habits in them, of course. But you
Yeah.
know, have it be like an option. You know,
Yeah.
not because we need to. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely on the right track.
Thanks, bro.
Cool, man.
Appreciate it,
Well, thanks for coming in today. Appreciate you,
dude.
man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Anytime. Right on. See you, dude.
Sweet.